Hi. Our interviews are quite different. They're more like chats where we invite players to come on and be part of the show. They can go on for quite some time because players are allowed to come in whenever they can and leave whenever they want to. So I'd like for you to enjoy this little chat that we had with South Mecklenburg senior linebacker, class of 2022, Panos Burlos. Okay, Jim, I'm going to let you start this thing out.
That sounds pretty good. I'll tell you what, that was a lot of fun listening about the air raid.
What did you think?
I was thinking that the Arizona Cardinals, don't they run the air raid, or sometimes they run it? I think they're the only NFL team left that's 4-0 right now that's undefeated this season.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just if you look at the NFL this year, I think there's one undefeated team and then two that haven't won a game, and we're only gone through 4 weeks. That's pretty impressive. Shows a lot about parity. But so I think we have got a guest on the show with us, Dale. Is it Panos? Panos. Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
being from the South, we can't pronounce anything.
yeah,
At least I can't. So I'm sure you've
it's all
heard it.
good.
Yeah.
Is that Greek or Italian?
Greek name.
Greek name. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. So I guess we'll open it up, Dale. If you never played linebacker, you were always in the trenches, right?
Actually, I played a little linebacker. In high school, I was a running back and linebacker.
Okay, I
my
gotcha.
trenches stuff was actually down in youth ball. I played I played D end, but now you got to remember I played in defenses when a 5-man front was considered, not too many up front. We were running 5-man fronts, and 4-man front just really wasn't heard of. It was heard of, but we weren't seeing it. We were mainly seeing 5-man, playing 5-man fronts, and you might even see a 6-man front, just depending on the offense that you went up against. So, and in those days, your linebackers were quite different in their responsibilities. In our defense, we did have what is known as a monster back, or so we were maybe a little more progressive in our defense, maybe compared to other teams. I played in the '70s, so that gives you any idea.
It kind of give you an idea. Back in the '70s, I think the decade of the '70s, the average team would score about 14 points in a game. And today we're probably looking at double that amount, probably about 26 to 29 or so in a given year. But totally
if a game
different.
got into the 20s, that was a high-scoring game for that offense.
And just out of curiosity, Dale, how many offenses back in the '70s had more than 2 receivers?
Had more than 2 receivers? You got to remember,
2 wide receivers.
We were running split T offenses. Maybe some schools did run some of the the more option, triple option type stuff, because Oklahoma was, that was kind of the era when Oklahoma was really, in Nebraska, they were really knocking that stuff up. So
doing the Notre Dame box, I betcha.
We had split ends. Wide receiver was just really not a term used. I was just thinking cornerbacks were just starting to kind of appear in high school, I guess.
When I was in high school, we had flankers and split ends. We didn't have anybody that was really a receiver back then.
That's right.
So what we're going to talk about now, I guess our guest, you're from are you from South Meck? Is that right?
Yes, sir. South Mecklenburg.
South Meck has done a lot of good this year. It's doing a lot of changes. Dale, what year was South Meck won the national or the state championship? It was 81.
81, 82?
Before me.
I think so.
I think it was either 81 or 82. I should know that.
I think it was 81 because East Meck won it in 77.
70. That was the year I played, my senior year. We lost East Meck 20-something to 14-something. I forget. Our star tailback went down, broken wrist, and that cost us the game. I feel like we would have beat East, and Coach Hip, the East Mecklenburg coach, felt like we would have beaten them. I played at West Mecklenburg, Panos. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what the culture is? There's been a culture shift, a little bit of a culture shift. So why don't you tell us about that? But tell us about the standard and your view of the standard as a player.
So Coach Evans came to South Mech my sophomore year. We had just came off of, I believe we were 3-8 my freshman year. And he comes in late, we're trying to figure out at this point, it's like almost halfway through June and we still don't have a head coach. And he comes in and we're like, all right, so we'll see how this goes. And he introduced us to the standard. That's been his phrase since, and we live by it. And the way our logo that we have, it's the standard and it's underlined. And that underline is supposed to mean that the standard is supposed to be above subpar. You know what I'm saying? That little extra bit to where we emphasize we're doing more than what we need to in order to get to where we need to get to. Now, sophomore year didn't go as planned, which is fine. And you mentioned the culture change. And you look at us now and, hey, we're, 5-1 going into 8K in 2 days? Going from 0-11 at first, it's just been a building block since then. Those seniors that year mentored all the sophomores that were playing on varsity because we didn't have a lot of players out there at that point. Last year we ended 4-3 in the spring season, and now we're continuously just working harder to keep getting to that final goal of, getting that state championship.
Just out of curiosity, did you ever play JV, or did South Mech have a JV team when you were like a freshman?
We did have a JV team. I played 3 games on JV. My freshman year, I got pulled up to varsity, and I didn't really get that much playing time. I wasn't big enough for it. I was like, 5'11", 5'10", 160 pounds playing linebacker. So I did get pulled at varsity. I've had 3 games of JV and been up ever since.
Just also with the numbers, like right now, how many guys do you have on varsity? How many guys do you have on JV this year?
I do know on varsity we have 28 seniors.
Wow.
So we have a lot of seniors this year, and to think that basically every senior that we have was on varsity sophomore year, that's dedication. We all put trust into the process that Coach Evans was building and starting to pay off. I think now we have close to 40 something on each, 50 on each.
Wow.
Really? That's good.
Because Dale,
I guess
I think it was 2017 when we went to we had a jamboree down over in Olympic, and I remember talking to Rocky, and if I remember right, he only had like 35 players on varsity. It wasn't many players. I remember that.
Yeah, it was a small number. The program had a very small number of players, which is hard to compete in, especially in Charlotte with the 4A schools that you're playing against. It's kind of hard to compete with that number of players because you may have some good players, but you're going to be playing them 2 ways, and that's just not a recipe for a winning season. Be very, very difficult. So I'm impressed in that so South Mecklenburg has always been one of the largest schools in the state, which has been one of the draw factors about the coaches maybe wanting to coach at South Mecklenburg. But player turnout for decades has been bad. And I mean decades. It wasn't just under during Coach White's time frame. Prior to Coach White, in fact,
Right.
prior to Coach White, it was potentially
It was
even worse.
Yeah.
Right. So, what is the difference in the school that is getting more people interested in playing football at a time when parents are looking at not playing kids because of concussions?
A lot of people saw us sophomore year and we're like, hey, this team is 0-11. Who wants to play for them? Right? Last year we go 4-3, start getting a little bit, getting a few people's attentions. And, we get to where we are now and there's still, we got our whole entire stands are just packed out. Right? Like everyone's there. Everyone's like, you guys are doing great. It's those people that don't want to put the hard work off of Friday Night Lights. They're not willing to dedicate their time, their summers, to go out there and work for it. And then once we start to do well, they're like, hey, I really want to be a part of this now. It's either you're with us or you're not. You can't come in late. And that was somewhat of a struggle at first, but now everyone saw and heard about what we were doing and they want to be a part of it now.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, we were a game. Different schools do things different on Fridays, but our tradition on Fridays was to wear game jerseys to school. And the comment that was made about some players was, you're only doing this so that you get to wear a jersey on Friday to school. You don't want to put the work in. You just want the jersey and the recognition of being part of the team, but not actually contribute to the team. That's a tough thing for some people to get through their head, that, the rest of you there want them working every day, because as a unit, that's how you get better. So you play linebacker. You've been linebacker your entire life in high school, it sounds like.
Actually, it is not. Surprisingly,
no?
I was not. Freshman year, I was inside backer. Sophomore year, we had injuries and shortage of people, and Coach Evans came up to me and was like, hey, I might need you to play running back. And I was like, let's go. Let's work. Let's get to it. So sophomore year, devoted that season to running back. Junior year, I went and played our outside backer and running back as well. Played both.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, now I'm just outside backer, living the dream.
Fun, isn't it? Defense is more fun than offense, I believe. It's more fun to hit someone, right?
Yeah, I'd rather hit than be hit.
Now, talking about making some hits, I mean, there's some payback going out now. A couple years ago, you were 0-11. You got some guys or some teams out there that you're going to have some, you're going to get some payback this year. If you probably already got some payback. Tell me 2 or 3 teams that you feel like are South Mech's biggest rivals. The 2 or 3 teams that mean the most when you beat them.
Even though we didn't beat them this year, Catholic is always, number one up there. We're about less than a mile down the road from each other.
Right.
I mean, we could all walk to their stadium and have a game if we really needed to. And buses weren't working, be like, hey, let's walk over there. That would probably be our number one. Myers Park is also up there, and I know we play them in 3 weeks. It's always just been South versus Myers, always going at it. And honestly, third, until really like the past few years, it's starting to become AK. And we play them tomorrow, and it's gonna be a fight for it. But I really think we could pull away with it.
Dale, here's a little trivia for you. You remember Foot Soldier? I know. You know what Foot Soldier used to call?
Yeah, I know him well. Uh-huh.
You know what his nickname was for AK?
His nickname for AK?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Barney the dinosaur.
Barney. That's right. Purple, because of the purple. That's right.
Yeah, he used to give people fits from AK and just to tease them on that. And I'm like, guys, Lee's a good friend of mine. I'm like, Lee
Yeah.
means nothing by it whatsoever. He's just trying to get a rise out of you. But yeah, the
So
old party.
I'm sorry. You were at the game Friday night. What did you think about what you saw?
I give Audrey props for how they played,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't give them enough because they couldn't finish it out. You know, going into half, it was what 7-6. Audrey
Yeah.
was up, and they were playing pretty good defense. They were playing decent offense. They were making completions. They were getting yards, but when it came down to crunch time, they just couldn't finish. And Myers Park walked away with it. But I give AK props for keeping that such a close game, keeping everyone on their toes to watch. But they gotta finish on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was on their defense for obviously keeping it close. Their offense had many opportunities throughout the game, and didn't come up. So you guys, you get Myers Park in 3 weeks, you get Audrey this week, you get Olympic the following week.
Yep.
That's you, and those 3 are the top teams in the conference, I believe, and most likely we'll see tomorrow night. But I think it comes down to Myers Park and South Mecklenburg.
Yep. That's the big ones.
That's the big one. So, what's your favorite subject in school? I'm gonna take this someplace, but
okay. It's always been math. Surprisingly, I've always enjoyed math. It's always come easy to me, so I'd probably pick math as my favorite subject.
Okay.
This is a special guy. I like this guy.
Yeah, I like math too. Math is that's my thing. I like numbers. There's no bad numbers. I love numbers. I love to see what numbers can do. Numbers define everything.
Yes, they do.
I'm a science guy, physics guy.
I'm not a physicist guy. I'm a mathematics guy, statistics guy.
But trust me, Jim, numbers is all in physics too, man. It's all everything's defined by math, so that's good. As you look on to what will happen after you leave South Mecklenburg, certainly you want to play football, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, sir.
What is that looking like right now?
Recruiting has been a pain for not just me, but a lot of people. If you're not those 5-star Hollywood Browns at Chambers, it's hard. With the NCAA giving that extra year of eligibility, it kind of puts everyone in the class it put people in 21 in a bind. It's putting everyone in 22 in a bind, and I think it's going to carry on to 23 and 24 later on. But it's been a little tough.
Yeah, the other thing that hurts recruiting is the transfer portal, I think, because that allows too easily now, I believe, big schools to pick up players that might have those schools may have recruited a kid in, but now they can transfer a kid in, and that lessens an opportunity of a kid getting a shot. So I think transfer portal's a big deal too. But what do you look at doing in college as far as studies? What do you think you want to study? Because my belief is you should be considering, if you want to play football, you want to play football, but you should also be considering how you marry that with what you learn for life.
So I want to major in business administration. I want to get my master's in that. And after I get my master's in that, I want to break off into sports management.
Okay. So you're gonna go in straight studying business, go all the way to an MBA, instead of getting an MBA after maybe going into another field. And then you want to go into sports management, you say? Do you want to be an athletic director or something like that?
Something across those lines.
Okay. Have So recruiting's been tough, but are you talking with anybody? Are you considering anybody? D1, D2? What's
I've had a little bit of conversations with a couple of D1 schools. I've had a lot of interest from Elon. They've been talking to me since I think January now, and a little bit of Furman. Those are probably the top two that have shown the most interest. But I mean, I have a little bit of conversations here and there, but that's honestly right now, that's not the biggest focus for me. The biggest focus is the season. You know, I really want to go far with this team. It's senior year. It's the last chance I have, and I want to make the most of it.
That's good to hear. That should be your focus. Your team should be your focus right now, not you. You got to care about yourself, but you need to care about your team too.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was hoping Jim had a question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was just thinking out loud when I was a senior. I guess I started my senior year 33 years ago. 33 years. Gosh, I'm old. But
No, that's young.
well, I mean, everything's relative now.
That's right.
So, tell me something about what you want the guys that are like freshmen going to be rising sophomores next year. What do you want these guys to learn from you to pass the South Mech tradition? Because I think y'all pretty much changed the culture of that program. What are some lasting things you want the freshmen, sophomores, even the people that might be in middle school to learn from your class?
Life is always going to give you a curveball. You know, you will never have a perfect plan that's going to fulfill itself. There's always going to be some sort of bump in the road. No matter what it is, just stay true to it. You know what I'm saying? 0-11. I can bring it up as many times as possible because we've overcome it. You know, 0-11 sophomore year. Hit the weight room, back to the drawing boards, and just put work in. You know, the underclassmen at South, I believe they'll follow our steps. You know, buying into the program, dedicating themselves to football and the program in order to, continue what we have going on.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I don't have to tell you or preach this to you, but you got a coach that loves every one of you. And
he tells us every day at practice, or as much as he can, that, he'll treat us how he treats his son.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you something else. Every team that Coach Evans ever had is always better because of him. I remember Independence. You remember that year? They were undefeated. I forgot it was 2014 or something like that. Undefeated during the regular season. I think only two teams even scored anything against them. I mean, yeah.
He just had that bump in the first round. Yeah, exactly.
I think it was the second round, actually.
No,
Did he play? Okay.
Yeah.
But the next year he was gone,
Fairly confident they lost first round.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it just incredible coach on that. And something to share with you, when I was a freshman at my high school, we were 0-10. And by my senior year, we got up to 1-9. We didn't change the culture, so we went 0-10, 2-8, 3-7, and then 1-9. Of those 9 losses, 8 of them were within a touchdown. So there were a lot of improvement. Just didn't see on the win-loss record. So I like what you're saying. You can't sweat the small stuff. Life will give you plenty of curveballs. That's for sure. The curveballs are okay. The knuckleballs are the ones I have a lot of trouble with because they're just floating and just go everywhere. So,
you know what a submarine pitch is?
Oh, I sure do. I'll tell you what.
That's a
was
tough
it? He did the old Kent to Colby. You remember him from Pittsburgh? Really good submarine.
My dad was a submarine pitcher. Anyway,
so their fingers will hit the ground sometimes.
We were just kind of chatting. We got some other things to cover. Do you want to stick around with us and chat about it. You're welcome to stick on.
I'll be able to stay on for a little bit.
Okay, because we did want to cover a few other things. I am going to be at your game Friday night. I'm going to try to. Yeah, I'm wanting to see all the interactions between the top teams in your conference this year. That was one of my goals that I set forth at the first of the year, was to see who was going to be the conference champion of the South Mech Conference. Certainly the other two conferences have some great competition going on. It's easier for me because I'm in Southwest Charlotte, so it's easier for me to be able to scoot around and get to all of these games. But Jim, let's cover a couple of other things here. And you wanted to talk about history of the Southwestern 4A.
I do.
Maybe this young man might want to hear some of that.
And this kind of goes back to from 75 to 1984. There were exactly 10 4A teams in Mecklenburg County. You had West Charlotte, you had West Mech, South Mech, North Mech, and East Mech. You had Garinger, Harding, Independence, Myers Park, and Olympic. And all 10 of those teams played in the same conference, so they had 9 games and had exactly one non-conference game. What happened was in the 73 alignment, you had some teams from I think Gastonia, I think it was one of them, maybe Asheville was part of it. And by 74, the guys, the Gastonia teams and Hickory and Asheville are like, yeah, we don't need to play these guys, or we want to do something different. So they got together mid realignments and had a 10-team Western 4A conference. And I'm going to open up my Mecklenburg County file, then I'm going to share my screen if I can.
I remember that we scrimmaged Ashbrook, and we just painted our helmet. We just received our helmets, and I played fullback, and I took a hit to the head, helmet to helmet head, and I had a big green stripe down the side of my white helmet because the Ashbrook had those green. They had green helmets. They were a tough team. So there were tough teams over in Gaston County. A lot of us scrimmaged them because they were parts of the conference earlier. That senior year, our non-conference game was Monroe.
And I'm going to try to share my screen here. Let's see if I can. I have to get. Something else to let you know, Panos, the older you get, you can't see anything up close anymore. It really sucks.
Hey, have you noticed how he has to keep his hair out of his eyes and everything? I used to have nice hair too when I was your age. In fact, I almost had hair down to my shoulders at one time.
All right. I don't know if there's a way to make that thing any bigger or not.
And that's your mom does a lot of photography, right?
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, she just stepped in the room. I have to leave. I'm so sorry. Okay. I wish I could stay longer.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. It's nice to meet you.
But it was nice to meet you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Please come anytime.
Have a good game Friday night.
All right. Take care.
Thanks so much. I'll see you there.
Okay.
So